There's a specific kind of anger that doesn't scream. It doesn't punch walls. It doesn't shout. It sits. It waits. It builds slowly in your chest like pressure behind a dam, silent, patient, and terrifying. That was me. Every night, lying on my back, staring at the ceiling of my apartment, listening to someone else live their life as loudly as possible, without a single thought about anyone below them. At first, I told myself the same lies we all do. It's temporary. They don't realize how loud they're being. Just be patient. Patience, I learned, is expensive, and I was running out of money. Your home is supposed to be quiet, not silent, but safe. A place where your shoulders drop when you walk in, where your brain powers down, where sleep comes easily. Mine didn't. Mine shook, literally. Every night, like clockwork, the bass started pounding through the ceiling. Not music, invasion. The kind that doesn't ask permission. The kind that rattles your cups, hums through your bones, and makes your heart beat out of rhythm. I tried everything. Headphones, white noise, earplugs. Nothing stopped the vibration. I'd lie there at 4:43 a.m., jaw clenched, teeth grinding, thinking, how can one person be this inconsiderate? That question haunted me, because the answer came eventually. They can be we, if they don't care. The guy upstairs wasn't subtle. He was the kind of man who entered every space like he owned it. Tall, loud boots. Wide stance, chest out, chin up. The kind of man who didn't just walk, he announced himself. He drove a car that sounded like it hated silence. And every morning, he made sure the entire building heard it. He'd start the engine. And then wait. 5 minutes. 10 minutes. Just sitting there, revving slightly, letting the sound fill the parking lot like a declaration, I'm awake. You're welcome. I watched him once from my window. Arms crossed, sunglasses on. Smug. That was the moment I realized something uncomfortable. He enjoyed being loud. We tried to be reasonable. We knocked on his door one evening, rehearsing our words like students about to ask for an extension. Hey, man, I said, forcing a smile. The music carries really clearly at night. Would you mind turning it down after midnight? He laughed, not cruelly, not aggressively, just dismissively. Yeah, sure. The door closed. The music didn't. That night, the bass was louder. Almost like a response. That's when something shifted inside me. Not anger. Understanding. He wasn't ignorant. He wasn't unaware. He just didn't think we mattered. And once you realize that, being polite starts to feel like self-betrayal. Sleep deprivation doesn't feel dramatic at first. It doesn't hit you like a brick. It leaks into your life quietly, like poison. One bad night becomes two. Two become a week becomes your new normal. I started waking up exhausted instead of rested. My eyes burned constantly. My patience shortened. Small problems felt enormous. At work, I'd reread the same sentence 5 times and still not understand it. Conversations felt delayed, like my brain was buffering. And every night, without fail, I'd crawl into bed knowing exactly what was coming. The bass. That low, invasive thump that didn't care if I had work in the morning. Didn't care if I was sick. Didn't care if I was barely holding it together. I'd lie there thinking, he's sleeping just fine up there, and I'm paying the price. That's when resentment stopped being an emotion. And became a condition. Morning didn't bring relief. It brought insult. Because just when I'd finally drift off, maybe 2 or 3 hours of shallow, broken sleep, I'd hear it. The car. That engine roaring to life like it was angry at the world. And then nothing. He wouldn't drive away. He'd just sit there, letting it idle. Letting it echo. 10 minutes of sound, just to remind everyone around him that he existed. I stood at the window once, coffee shaking slightly in my hand, watching him. He was leaning back in his seat, one arm draped casually out the window. Relaxed, rested, satisfied. That's when I felt something sharp twist in my chest. It wasn't jealousy. It was injustice. We emailed management again. This time detailed. Dates, times, descriptions. We weren't emotional. We weren't dramatic. We were precise. Days passed, then weeks. The response finally came. We'll look into it. Nothing changed. The music continued. The engine continued. The disrespect continued. And suddenly I wasn't just angry at him. I was angry at the entire system that quietly decided, your comfort doesn't matter. That realization is dangerous, because once you understand that no authority is coming to save you, you either break or you adapt. The snap didn't sound like glass shattering. It sounded like clarity. It was 20:11 a.m. I was sitting on the floor of my living room, back against the couch, lights off, ceiling vibrating faintly above me. I wasn't even angry anymore. I was calm. Too calm, and a thought entered my mind, not impulsive, not emotional, but logical. He believes noise equals power. So what happens if I take that power and turn it against him? I pictured his face. The confidence, the smirk, the certainty that no one would ever challenge him. And for the first time since this started, I smiled. Because I wasn't thinking about surviving anymore. I was thinking about teaching a lesson. This is the moment every great revenge story pivots. Not from pain to rage, but from rage to strategy. I didn't want to scream at him. I didn't want to fight. I wanted him to feel exactly what I felt every night. Helpless, disrespected, trapped. And suddenly, the solution felt obvious. Almost elegant. Most people misunderstand revenge. They think it's about anger, about explosions, about losing control. But the most effective revenge is calm. It's intentional, measured, almost peaceful. That night, sitting alone in my dark living room, I didn't feel furious anymore. I felt focused. The bass from above thudded faintly, not loud tonight, just enough to remind me he was there. And instead of clenching my fists, I leaned back and started thinking. What actually bothers people like him? Not noise. He lives for noise. What bothers him is loss of dominance. Being laughed at, being mocked. Being made uncomfortable in a way he can't confront without looking ridiculous. That's when it clicked. I didn't need to outnoise him. I needed to outplay him. People like him build their entire personality around a few fragile pillars. So masculinity, so control, image, see intimidation. He wanted to be seen as powerful, unbothered, above everyone else. He wore it in the way he walked, in the way he talked, in the way he ignored complaints like they were beneath him. So I asked myself one simple question. What happens when someone like that becomes the joke? Not yelled at, not threatened, just undermined, quietly, publicly, irreversibly, and suddenly the revenge stopped feeling petty. It felt poetic. I opened my phone. Spotify glowed softly in the dark. I scrolled past aggressive music, past metal, past EDM. That wouldn't work. That would make it a fight. Then I stopped. Taylor Swift, bright, catchy, unapologetically feminine. Music that doesn't threaten, it infects. Songs that stick in your head. Lyrics you can't unhear, melodies that follow you whether you want them to or not. And more importantly, music that directly contradicted everything he tried to be. This wasn't just sound, it was identity warfare. I laughed quietly to myself, because suddenly I wasn't just getting even, I was rewriting the power dynamic. That's when I remembered the candle, strawberry pound cake, sweet, loud, impossible to ignore. The kind of scent that doesn't politely stay in one room, it travels. I lit it. The room filled instantly. And for the first time in weeks, my apartment didn't feel like a prison. It felt like a stage. I placed the speakers deliberately. One aimed directly at the ceiling, not random, precise. Another by the window. I checked the time, 11:58 p.m., perfect. I wasn't reacting anymore. I was initiating. I sat on the couch, remote in one hand, phone in the other. The bass from upstairs stopped suddenly. Silence. For a moment, doubt crept in. What if tonight is quiet? What if I don't need to do this? Then, boom. The music above me came back, louder than before, almost challenging. I smiled. Okay, I whispered to the empty room. You asked for this. I hit play. The opening notes filled the room clean, bright, confident. I turned the volume up, not max, just enough. The ceiling vibrated differently this time. Not aggressively, playfully. I imagined his reaction upstairs. Confusion first, then irritation, then realization. And the best part, he couldn't complain. Because if he did, he'd be admitting that noise bothered him, and that was something his ego couldn't survive. As the song played, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Relief. Not because the noise stopped, but because I stopped feeling powerless. For once, I wasn't enduring. I was choosing, and that changed everything. The first song ended. The second began. I increased the volume slightly. Not aggressively, just enough to make sure it traveled. The ceiling vibrated again, but this time, it was melody. Cheerful, confident, unbothered. I sat still, listening, waiting. Above me, footsteps, heavy, fast, back and forth. That was new. For weeks, his movement had been careless, lazy, like he didn't even register the people beneath him. Now he was pacing, and I knew deep in my gut that the music had reached him. Not just his ears. His ego, the pounding on the floor, came next. Not rhythmic. Not musical, just raw frustration. T-A-2-D. Didn't turn it down. I didn't react, didn't turn it up. I let the song play. Because reacting would mean acknowledging him. And tonight, he didn't get that power. I imagined his face upstairs. Eyebrows furrowed. Jaw tight, trying to understand how he, the loud one, the untouchable one, was suddenly uncomfortable. People like him don't know how to process that. They're not built for resistance. Especially resistance that smiles back. The music kept going. Song after song. I heard his door slam open. Then boots fast, angry. He stormed down the hallway. I cracked my door open slightly, just enough to hear. "Are you serious right now?" He shouted, not at anyone in particular. No one answered. because no one needed to. The music spoke for us. And that's when I noticed something important. His anger wasn't loud anymore. It was panicked. Because suddenly he wasn't sure who was responsible. And that uncertainty. It eats people like him alive. The strawberry pound cake candle had fully bloomed now. Sweet. Thick. Impossible to ignore. The hallway carried it, and I heard someone laugh, soft, brief. Uncontrollable. That laugh hit harder than any insult. Because now, this wasn't private. This wasn't just between us. Other neighbors were aware. And awareness is humiliation's best friend. I imagined him standing there, surrounded by sweetness and pop music, completely stripped of the intimidating image he worked so hard to maintain. No confrontation, no shouting match. Just exposure. Later that night, the bass never returned. Instead, I heard footsteps again. Slower this time, he was leaving. I turned the speaker toward the window and raised the volume just a little more. The chorus followed him down the stairs, out the door, into the night. I watched from behind the curtain as he reached his car. He started the engine. And for the first time since I'd known him, he didn't let it idle, not even for a second. He drove off immediately, fast, like he was trying to escape something. I didn't feel adrenaline. I didn't feel rage. I felt calm, because I finally understood something powerful. Bullies don't stop because you ask nicely. They stop when the environment stops rewarding them. Tonight, the environment changed. I woke up, and something felt wrong. No bass, no vibration, no engine roaring through the walls. Just silence. The kind of silence that feels unfamiliar when you've been living inside noise for too long. My ears almost waited for it, braced for impact. I sat up in bed, heart pounding slightly. It'll start any second, I thought. It always does. 1 minute passed. Nothing. I checked the clock. Same time, same morning. But the sound that had terrorized my mornings for weeks never came. That's when it hit me. Last night didn't just annoy him. It changed something. I walked slowly to the window. The parking lot was quiet. His car was there, but it was off. No idling, no performance, no declaration of dominance. Just a parked car. And for the first time in a long while, I felt something unfamiliar settle into my chest. Relief mixed with disbelief. The kind that whispers, don't celebrate yet. He might start again. But deep down, I already knew. Bullies don't go quiet accidentally. That day passed, then the evening. Then the night. Nothing. No music. No stomping. No vibrations. The next day. Still nothing. And the few times I saw him in the hallway after that, no swagger. No chest puffed out. No alpha energy. His eyes stayed forward. His steps were quicker. He had become aware. And that's the real victory. Not yelling. Not apologies. But change. I sat in my apartment that night without headphones, listening to nothing. And for the first time in weeks, I felt something I had forgotten existed. Peace. No tension. No waiting for the next explosion. Just quiet. I didn't win because I was louder. I won because I stopped being invisible. People ask, was it worth it? As if revenge always leaves emptiness behind. But the truth, this revenge didn't give me chaos. It gave me silence. And silence was all I ever wanted. I didn't escalate. I didn't threaten. I didn't lose control. I simply reclaimed my space. Some people don't understand boundaries. Not because they're ignorant, but because they've never been forced to respect them. Polite requests sound like weakness to them. Complaints feel optional. But the moment they're treated the same way they treat others, their confidence collapses. That alpha image, it only survives in environments where no one pushes back. I didn't hurt him. I didn't threaten him. I didn't break the law. I gave him the exact experience he gave everyone else. Same behavior, same volume. And when it suddenly felt unbearable to him, that's when the lesson landed. Sometimes I still catch myself looking up at the ceiling at night, old habits. But now there's nothing there, no bass, no vibration, just quiet. And I smile not because I won, but because my home finally feels like home again. If you've ever felt powerless in your own space, remember this. Your peace is not a luxury, it's a right. And sometimes the only way to protect it is to stop being endlessly patient. If this story hit close to home, if you've ever dealt with someone loud, rude, or entitled, smash that like button, subscribe for more real, satisfying revenge stories, and tell us in the comments, what's the most satisfying revenge you've ever witnessed or imagined? Because this channel isn't about noise, it's about justice.